Hello, ladies and gentlemen, everybody inside and outside of the gender spectrum, and welcome to the No Limit Wrestling Show. I am, as always, Dylan Murray. I am joined by my co-host Xavi. How you doing, bud?
Well, I'm good, man. It's been a while.
And we are joined by Xavi's co-host, Beth. How are you doing, Beth?
I'm doing well. Co-host Inception, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all intertwined. You know what I mean? If
You
only Alex
see,
was here.
we had Dylan's British co-host on earlier, so
Mm,
it was about time we brought mine on. Um, the only difference is
shoot, British.
mine just or farms on Twitter, so I mean it's different.
That's all I do. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't even have a blue check mark. I should get into that so I can make
Yeah.
some money.
believe this or not, Beth, one of my favorite Twitter accounts on Twitter.
That means the
We
world.
talked about your Diva
Yeah.
Stand post
Oh yeah, it was great.
yesterday in the group chat.
Look, sometimes you just need to appreciate women being women and not watch hour-long work rate.
I agree. I agree. That's what we're
So
talking
now we're
about.
going to talk about work rate.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about one of the greatest
Listen,
work rate
listen,
wrestlers.
listen.
Uh, yeah, today is the 17th episode of the No Limit Wrestling Show, and we are talking about Meiko Satomura, her retirement, and some of her best matches. Um, problem with Meiko is that her best matches, she just has so many of them. Like
Mhm.
she was more of a consistency type of wrestler, than like, oh, these 5 matches are like
Her
the
best. I
best.
think also a big thing with us is not wanting to go to most of the obvious ones, although there
Yeah,
is a few that we picked. It's
yeah,
just
obviously.
the desire to not go for the ones that most people have probably beaten to death.
Yeah, so that's why I like the well, in part why the EO match we didn't run with.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, we've got a few matches, and also we didn't want to rewatch any matches that we've already watched on No Limit.
Hmm.
So, likely the best Aja match what we
I
already
agree.
saw at or Double Destiny, not Double or Nothing. We watched that. We
My
watched that.
favorite AEW
Yeah,
match.
yeah, the best AEW match. Aja, they should have ran that. I'm not gonna lie, they probably could have.
I was gonna
But
say Mako was signed to the Fed. Ain't no way.
oh yeah, she did sign. Yeah, we'll talk about that too. Not really, but we will. Um, but so we're gonna talk about how many matches we do? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven technically
Hmm.
matches altogether. One of them is the retirement match and the exhibition afterwards. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Um,
Luckily,
but
that
yeah,
one's like fresh on the brain, so I didn't really
yeah,
have to go back
yeah,
and watch
same.
that.
I didn't take enough notes for that one, so I will need some semantics pointed out because I don't remember the finishes for the finish for the retirement match because I didn't write that
How
down.
do you? Okay,
I just completely forgot when we watched it live
okay,
because
that's
I was
fair.
writing notes when we watched it live and I just did not write down the finish. But otherwise, I'm pretty prepared, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, Before we get into our care and how we got into Mako and what we were kind of looking forward to in this kind of deep dive into Mako. Uh, I want to show off the background that I made.
Hmm.
Very pretty, very pretty. I'm proud of this one. Made this last night while I was on call
Yeah,
with Xavi and Scott.
you kept the FMW tape there for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, the tapes are so hard to change. I just leave them.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that
fair.
one's a beauty pair one. That's a Arjan one. That it's they yeah they don't change. Um, but after appreciation for the art, I hope everybody clapped a little bit. Beth, let's throw it over to you. Like, how did you get into Meiko Satomura? What was your relationship with her as a wrestler, and just like how did maybe not her retirement affect you because we'll get to the retirement later, but tell us a little bit about how you got into Meiko and how you feel about her as a wrestler overall.
So I got into Meiko around the time she started doing like quite a lot of like indie shows over
Mhm.
here. I didn't get to go see any of them because they're all down in London, and I'm not traveling to London. But I would see the clips that like Pro Wrestling Eve would post. I'm like, damn, she's like really good. So I started like checking her out a little bit more. Started watching like Sendai and everything. It kind of all went from there. And then like during the pandemic when she went to NXT UK, and I watched like nearly all of her stuff through that, and I was like, damn, this is like the best wrestler of all time. Which is crazy because I was watching NXT UK, but yeah, like I just seeing her like working in the UK and how she became like kind of a prominent figure in the UK scene as well was kind of crazy. And yeah, and then I wrote that piece about her entire career, which kind of made me a Meiko expert, if you will. Um, so I've seen like every single thing she's done. So I feel pretty confident in saying that I think she's one of the best wrestlers of all time, in my opinion.
I think that's fair. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that. Yeah, I do remember. I don't remember if they were Schadenfreude yet, or if they were whatever other name they had. But she was always wrestling Chris Brooks in the UK, and
Oh,
I do
yeah,
remember watching,
If a
like,
Japanese
in
enjoying.
Fight Club.
wrestled in the UK around that time, just say they faced Chris Brooks or like Aussie
Yeah,
Open. You're
yeah. I
probably
mean,
right.
everybody faced Chris Brooks.
Yeah, it was
And
like during the Fight Club Pro
yes,
era.
yeah. I do remember
Yeah.
watching some of those. And I remember for last word, I reviewed the Sendai Girls UK show that they did a few years ago.
I'm sorry.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it was
bad.
fine. It was fine. But Xavier, I'll throw it to you, and then I'll go into my little diatribe. But how did you get into Meiko, and how do you feel about her as a wrestler overall?
So somewhat similar. So I had heard about her by the time I obviously got into Joshi. With Stardom back around like what was it, 2018 around that mark.
Mm.
But I never like, and obviously knew about her doing UK stuff. But as far as like actually watching outside of like going back and watching a few of her big matches in Stardom, because that's all I really knew. I think when I actually got into Mako was like right when the pandemic happened or right before, and they were just doing the Sendai house shows on YouTube, just live streamed on
Mm.
the like steel cam, and that's when I just kind of locked into Sendai Girls as a whole. Um, I'd obviously seen Mako before, like when I would like rewatch old WCW stuff, and she would be there and see clips and stuff. But as far as like actually diving in, it was probably around that point because I was just like, I need to branch out and watch more stuff. So obviously, when I decided to lock into her, she said, I'm going to go wrestle in a warehouse for like 2 years, and y'all be easy.
Yeah, I have a drastically different, well, not drastically, but a fairly different story when it comes to Mako. I began my knowledge of Mako with a sincere disdain for her. Um,
Oh
because
yeah, you did hate
That's
her.
crazy.
You did hate her.
let me
No,
explain. Let
that's
me
right.
explain.
Please
Because
explain.
I was a Kagetsu historian,
Yeah.
and I looked at everything that happened in Kagetsu's career, and I was like, Mako kind of fucked him up. Like,
Yeah.
Mako kind of ruined his life for a bit. Damn. Like you hear how he would talk about like post Sendai Girls and how lost he was. I was like, if Mako just put him over, it would have been like everything would have been fine. And so I was just so yeah, like when I first was getting into Joshi wrestling, obviously I was a gigantic Kagetsu fan. That was the first kind of thing I I devoted my time and energy to was watching and understanding as much about Kagetsu as possible. And I do vividly remember just being like, why couldn't he just put, or why couldn't she just put him over, man? Like I was just so annoyed with Mako. And then I ended up watching Mako, and I was like, okay, yeah, she's fucking awesome. And over
And you
time,
didn't understand the politics of the Joshi
well,
landscape.
yes, and well, to be fair, I got the politics overall, but I rejected the politics vehemently. I was very annoyed that it was how the system worked, and I kind of resented Mako for a system that
You just didn't understand
she
that
didn't create. You know what
basically
I mean?
nobody in Sendai outside of Hosh like beat her.
Exactly. Um, well, now that resentment, in a way smaller way, is just carried over to Dash
That's
because
fair.
Dash is my goat. Not literally, but Dash is my second favorite Sendai Girls trainee of all time. So, now I'm just like,
That's
damn
fair.
you, Mako, you ended her one world title run. But yeah, so
That's fine.
I've come around to Mako, obviously, especially in like frankly, especially in her retirement run,
Yeah.
uh, like I always was like, yeah, Meiko's really dope, but like she isn't like this like massive part of my fandom. But then over the past year, like I was just like, there's nobody like this
To your
woman.
defense, a lot of her like big stuff, like her peak stuff, like in Guy and stuff, only became readily available in
Since
very
Gaia is,
recent years.
yeah,
Like very recent years. And
yeah,
by the
exactly.
time it became available, there's like 10,000 other things happening in pro wrestling. So it's not like we got the chance to just stop what we're doing and go and watch it because we have stuff to do. So
Yeah, and like so before, like outside of seeing Meiko be this like phenom who beat all my favorite wrestlers, um, outside of that, it's like all I would see is the intergender stuff, which I loved, and we will talk about a little bit of some Sendai Girls intergender stuff because I do really love and appreciate um, those matches. Um, that's pretty much all you would see, like around the time I was like getting into it and diving in. It's like, oh yeah, it's like intergender stuff and her beating all the people I like. So it's like there was that kind of like friction there, and then like you said, we get into the Gaia stuff, and I really learned to appreciate her work overall a lot more over the past like year and a half. Um, post NXT UK, which and her just being not wrestling for like 2 years after NXT UK closed. But yeah, that kind of sets us up for the show. XAVI, we how we roll. We have one match that we looked at of our docket, and we decide which match we think would be the best and which match we think would be the worst, and
I
then
think we
after
should
the
kind
show,
of tweak it to the weakest match because I don't
yeah,
think any of
weakest,
these
yeah,
were bad
none of
by
them
any
were bad,
means. So
but with that in mind, we should probably go through the matches that we reviewed in the first place. um First match we go through is Meiko Satomura versus Akira Hokuto from 2001, likely the most legendary uh Meiko match in Gaia. Everybody's heard of it. Maybe not everybody's seen it, but very legendary match just in name alone. After that, we got to Aja Kong versus Meiko Satomura, also in 2001.
we
That's
watched the Double Destiny one. We already reviewed that one.
Yeah,
I will go ahead and spoil that I like that one better. So if you want
same.
to hear us talk about that, go watch the
Go
Double
back to
Destiny
Double
two.
Destiny.
So
Yeah. Um, yeah, this is the one where Mako finally won the big one, so that's why we picked this. And yeah, and then we jumped to 2011, Mako versus Kana, on the Triple Tails produced show. Then we watched All Out versus Sendai Girls, the DDT KOD 6-man championship match.
mhm.
Then we watched Mako Satomura versus Kagetsu and Kagetsu's retirement match. And then we have the retirement matches, which is Aja Kong and Chiro Hashimoto versus Mako and Manami, and the exhibition of Meiko Satomura and Aja Kong versus Yuna, Takumi, Senka, Mika, and Chihiro. Um, yeah, obviously those last two, like the last one doesn't really count because going into it we didn't know what was going to happen. But otherwise, what did you guys think was going to be the weakest match here? What did you guys think was going to be the strongest match here? Xavier, I'll start with you.
I thought the weakest match would be the Kagetsu match, just because
Mm,
one one match I love very very dearly, and that was the only competition for being the weakest, and I just didn't think it was going to be the weakest because I love that match so much. Everything else I just thought would just be too high quality. Not saying that the match was bad. It's just that um, I hadn't seen or even like saw clips of the Meiko Kana match, but I felt like that could have delivered to a degree, and I thought the other two were just guaranteed locks to be like the top two best.
mm.
Plus, he had the retirement match and all that. I mean, I guess I could have went the gauntlet, but that didn't really count
Like
to
I said,
me.
that doesn't really count. Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't really count to me. So I just thought that the Kagetsu match was probably the weakest, and I thought going into it because I had not watched most of these that Sendai Girls versus All Out would be the best because that is a match I politic to get on here. It is like
Yeah.
one of my favorite DDT matches of all time. I love the entire Sendai Girls versus All Out feud, and I'll talk about that more later. But that's what I went with going in.
How about you, Beth? Which matches were you looking at as the strongest and weakest before you?
Uh, the weakest I put the Sendai and All Out match just because that was the only match that I hadn't seen yet. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to expect. It could be good, it could be bad, but I
Mhm.
assumed if it was going to be on here, it was going to be good either way. But um, best match, probably Meiko and Aja or Meiko and Kana, just because the Meiko and Kana match is like one of my favorite matches of all time.
Mm.
So that easy enough choice for me to pick that.
As for me, I expected the weakest match, similarly to Beth. I expected it to be All Out versus Sendai Girls. Even though I love all the wrestlers, I'm a big fan of all of them. There's a certain level that you expect out of these other matches that I wasn't expecting that match to reach, and turns out it did. Spoiler. But I was a bit like, as for the best match, I expected it to be Meiko versus Kagetsu, just because at the time that was my favorite match I had ever seen when I saw it. And so that was what I was looking at going in. Spoiler: both of those were not the correct answer for me personally.
That's fair.
We will talk about what that is when we get to it. But I suppose without further ado, it's time to just dive into the actual match reviews. First up, love this photo. It is Akira Hokuto versus Meiko Satomura, April 29th, 2001 in GAEA, Japan. Like I said, this is probably the most legendary Meiko Satomura match in GAEA. It's one of the most legendary Meiko Satomura matches of all time. If we didn't watch this, it would be kind of blasphemous because
I think this was the first match where we were just like, we have to watch this.
Yeah, and the thing is, me and you watched this just in a watch party a few months ago, but we were like, we got to rewatch it. We can't leave it out. And Beth, I'll start with you. How did you feel about this one? Our first on the chain in chronological order. We didn't get to watch any of Meiko's young Gaia stuff, unfortunately, just because there's so many. The volume of matches, and so many of them are tag matches, kind of is overwhelming. So you can't really pick
I don't
out.
appreciate the Sonoko Kato disrespect at all. But
I would have loved to watch a Sonoko Kato tag, but we also were, trying to keep it below 8 matches, and it was a bit hard, so we didn't get to watch any of the 95 to 2000 stuff, which I think is tremendous work from Meiko on its own. But we got right into main event Meiko. How did you feel about this first match?
I mean, right off the bat, absolutely insane match. I think this is definitely a must watch if you've never seen Meiko before and you want to know what she's kind of about. I know this sounds crazy, but I had the same feeling of passion for this match as I did their match in WCW Worldwide that was 3 minutes long and 6 years before this. But it's crazy because the crowd reaction was the exact same. The crowd was going crazy for these 3 minutes in WCW, and the crowd was going crazy for this, which I absolutely appreciate. But as well, this era of Meiko, she is just such a perfect underdog, and Hokuto is just destroying her for majority of the match, but she doesn't look weak during it, which is I think a testament to how well she works, because even though she's getting absolutely annihilated for 9% of the match, you still have a bit of hope in you that Meiko is going to pull out the win from somewhere, and I think that kind of is a testament to how good she is, and then my favorite part of the match was the double knockdown spot that they did. And I think people wrestlers need to use this as an example on how to do that properly, because so many wrestlers do it these days, and I feel like it's not as good as it was in this match. So I think you need to start studying these tapes and figure out what you're doing with your career.
Yeah, I mean the double knockdown and obviously the finish is such a legendary spot. The first time I hadn't seen the full match before, but I had seen the clip of the finish, and I watched GAEAism, where Saka Hirota did a beautiful parody of it, where she's just throwing herself against the ropes and just being all rubber legged, and it was just the most the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and that was what got me to watch this match. The first time I watched it was because I was like, that's such a funny spot. I want to watch the full match that it was parodying, and I was just like, holy shit, this match is insane. Before I get into it, Xavier, how about you? How do you feel about it?
Obviously, I got a little bit here, but first and foremost, we rocking with the Meiko Satomura Harlem Heat gear. Yeah.
I had to cough. But yes, sorry. I muted to cough, and I was like, "Fuck, he's about to ask me something."
Yeah.
But no, I love these
I saw that out
retro
there. I was
I
like,
makeup.
didn't
oh,
even
this is. I
notice.
was like,
I
bro,
didn't
look
even
at
notice.
Stevie Ray
Yeah.
out here, man. This is what's up. But something that doesn't really pertain to this match itself fully. However, we never mentioned it in the Double Destiny review. GAEA is just a company that has one of the most stacked roster ever because in terms of the older talent they brought in on board and the talent they were able to produce, this is like young Meiko against established legend Hokuto in a great match, but it's like neither's peaks for like different circumstances that is, and it's kind of scary. um I love that Hokuto worked over the arm and did an Irish whip, but not in the way that most people do it. She was not trying to throw her in the corner. She was just using that to further the
Like
attack on
yanking
the
it.
arm.
Yeah.
Um, Whenever you hear about this match, it's not really talked about, but I think Hokuto's grappling is massively underrated, especially here because it's like the backbone of this match, and she was just on her shit. Um,
I agree.
Hokuto invents a screwdriver, the Tomoko Watanabe one, Gloria crossbreed, and drops Meiko right on her head. And I was pacing around the room. I was like, that's what I like to see.
Wait. What are you like? What move was that? Like,
What? The
like what?
screwdriver?
Yeah, no, like that's the.
That's the back suplex into the power bomb, but it's like a driver.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
See, Hokuto hit a move that was effectively the reverse Northern Lights bomb.
Yeah.
Um, and I named it the Southern Lights bomb because it's based. Uh, not as flashy of a move, and that's the beauty of Hokuto. I'll let you continue in a minute, but that's the beauty of Hokuto is that it's like she has her like super flashy moves, and then she has moves that are like not as flashy, but are still just gnarly as shit.
Because she
Like just
hurts
like
people.
yeah, she's just like okay, and then you're gonna die. And then we're gonna move on because it's not that cool of a move. Like it's not established, but you are gonna die here. Uh, and that's how I felt about the Southern Lights bomb, where she just was just like okay, and then you just go on your head and that's about it. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
she drops Meiko on her head, and I loved it. I love the dueling the headbutt spot while they're on the ground so much, and then Meiko
mm,
fires up and dumps Hokuto with the Death Valley. Uh, Hokuto fights back, hits the Northern Lights bomb on top of her dome, and like I said, I think when this is one of the most brilliant finishes ever because
yep,
Hokuto clearly had the match won, but ultimately Meiko was just too stubborn, and her will to like win prevailed her to beat the count and get the KO victory. It's such a good finish. I love it so much because it's like Hokuto was not prepared for her to be this stubborn and keep fighting, and she was just exhausted everything at that point. She's like, God, it's over.
yeah. No, I think that's like the beauty of the match, and as I kind of alluded to earlier, the most timeless aspect of the match to most people is the finish because it is one of the best finishes like ever in my opinion. It's just
If
so good.
if somebody specifically in America, if they tried to do this today, you know how fucking cringe it would be. It would be Johnny Gargano faces
Yeah,
crying as they both fall. Like it would be so bad. that's that's why we have to look back on this fondly.
it'd be the double kick, double down, but neither of them would connect. You know what I mean? And then they look like they're more Sakura Hirota than they are Akira Hokuto doing it. Um, yeah, no, you're right. But I think the beauty of this match and something that I kind of didn't like recognize, maybe not didn't recognize, but like this match has gotten better every time I've watched it.
I
Um,
agree.
because you notice little things about it. And yeah, like with the finish, Hokuto like they both wrestlers went full tilt the entire match, but like Hokuto at this point was way more broken down.
Mhm.
She was like this was her last match that year. She retired the next summer, I believe, in 2002. Um, but she stopped like she was out of she didn't wrestle for the rest of 2001 after this match. Uh, and it's like you could tell that Hokuto was like kind of selling that she was a bit broken down. And she just like went at it like she was still like she was young again,
Mhm.
type of thing. She was throwing some of them moves that she didn't hit as ferociously in her later years, and she was hitting them as fucking nastily as possible. But in the end, it's like Meiko could take it, but Hokuto couldn't. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Half the time, Hokuto was selling the moves she was doing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? The somersault
everything
to the
hurt.
outside. The
Even
somersault to
if
the outside was the she hit it. That was the biggest damage to Hokuto the entire match.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I think that story that they told really aided. the finish where Hokuto hits her finish and she loses off of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That is such a masterful like story driven finish. That was combined with all this like just nasty, offense full of gritty head drops, just really killing each other. But with that being said, I think this time I watched it let me appreciate the first half of the match a lot more
Mhm.
than I ever have. Because the opening few minutes were so good. Like they were
Yes.
so tremendous. Like you said, Hokuto's grappling was really masterful. It was really good, and I don't think people give it enough credit. And in turn, Meiko's selling of the arm was great, and it really lended itself to the early going of the match because you watch it and Meiko's arm's fucked, and it makes her more erratic and sloppy, which is kind of like what you want from an underdog sometimes. It's kind of like this is a not a poor comparison, but there's better comparisons to make. But it's kind of like the Mark Briscoe effect, where like once Briscoe's kind of like out on his feet, he just gets real, just like all over the place, and it's so cool. And that's kind
Yeah.
of like what he sells his matches on a lot of the time. And Meiko was kind of doing that, where it's like she was just being really sloppy, really erratic, just trying to get anything going, and that allowed for Hokuto to have a really fun heat segment, like to have a
Mhm.
really good early going there and just really kind of taking her out like that. Um, I also love triangle lancers. Great move. Big fan of the move. And they were dueling triangle lancers. They both were locking them in, and I love that move, so I was fucking with it. But yeah, I thought that the early going, I was really impressed by more than I was the last time I watched this match.
Mhm.
So I walked away with an even greater appreciation for it because it was a great match. I absolutely loved it.
If you're listening to this, feel free to do a picture that's half Mark Briscoe, half Meiko Satomura, and tag us in it.
I would love that. I'd be a fan. I would love that. Shouts out. Reach for the sky. But yeah, I really love this match. I also loved like just the smaller bits. The thing about Hokuto, and we talked about this before the show. It's like we kind of fucked up picking these matches because a lot of them featured a star of the match that wasn't Meiko.
Yeah.
Um, and not I think that this match wasn't that. Like I think Meiko was the star of this match. But one thing about Hokuto in this match and in a lot of her matches is that she can really sell this is the end of my life. Like
Mhm.
this match is what is taking me out. You know what I mean? Like this is it. And the people around her sell it too. So in this match, like you look at some of the Kandori matches, or you look at the second Kandori match when she lost, and you look at LCO bawling their eyes out outside the ring
Mhm.
as Hokuto's going down. And Hokuto took some time off after that. That was her quote unquote retirement, uh, or almost retirement. And you look at this match and it's Ozaki, right? Ozaki's jumping into the ring as Meiko's going to town
Yeah,
on
I was just
Hokuto.
like, bro, not everything is about you, woman.
No, but I thought that worked
No,
perfectly
it
because
worked well, but I was just like in my head, I was
especially in
like,
the
dog.
context of GAEA, with them being such a a dominant force as a team, the
Yeah,
two of them. I thought that worked really well, but I definitely get what you mean. That it's like
I was like,
Ozaki's
dog.
gonna,
This was 2001. We got
yeah,
like 14 more years of this.
of Ozaki kind of skin. 14. This is 24 years later, buddy. She's still doing that,
Yeah.
um, stealing the spotlight and shit. But I appreciate it. I thought it really kind of sold another layer to the match of just like, you know, fearing for Hokuto. And the thing about Hokuto is that like she is such a dominant wrestler,
Mhm.
such a like captivating wrestler that it's so interesting to think how often she was left in such extreme peril that her like comrades would be like, I'm scared she's going to die. And I think that like Hokuto allowing herself to kind of get to that point in some of her matches really elevated them. Elevated the Kandori match, and it really elevated this one too. So yeah, loved this match. Absolutely adored it. Thought it was absolutely tremendous. Any other closing remarks, Beth or XAVI, on this one?
Nah, man.
No, just love when Miyazaki is just causing havoc.
That's true. She's always a topic of conversation. That's the problem. Um, but yeah. Next up, we watched the 3AW Singles Championship match from December 15, 2001. Aja Kong defends against Meiko Satomura. This is GAEA Japan. Meiko finally wins the big one. That's what this is all about. And she finally, well, not finally defeats Aja Kong. She did pin Aja in a tag match prior to this, but she finally
Singles
beat
action.
her. Finally beat her in a singles match. This is also their first and longest main event, the longest match overall, and their first singles match in first singles main event. I can't talk. I
There you go,
apologize.
bud. You got it.
Yeah, so we obviously already watched the 99 one. I have never seen the 2001. That's a match I probably should watch. And this is the third of their singles trilogy in GAEA. Well, no, I think they have a fourth that Aja just wins, but
Hey, yeah,
that's
you're
okay.
damn right.
Yeah, so we kind of have a I had a bit of a hard time kind of like I comparison's the thief of joy, and I love taking joy away from myself. So I kept kind of comparing this to the 99 one. And I agree with Xavier. I think that this
I
one
stopped doing
was
that in the
weaker.
first 10 minutes because I was just like, the 99 one's better immediately.
Yeah, that's where I was at. I was like, oh, this is definitely slower than that one. I was like, I should probably stop. But so that kind of informed me a bit too much at certain points in this match. I still really liked it. But Xavier, I'll start with you. How did you feel about this one?
Once again, the issue of Mako not necessarily being the star in a lot of these matches, and most of them for that matter. Because the first half of my notes is about Aja. I'll say it every time we watch her, but Aja, when she could move and was younger, is a different animal, especially in this era. Because imagine if you took the formula that still makes her great today, but add in the fact that she's super agile and can move. Just tremendous stuff. Um, Mako picked up a legit row of folding chairs. I've never
Dude,
seen
I
this in my
love that.
life. I was like, dog, they sell rows of folding chairs like that. But she picked them up and she hurled them at Aja. I was like, yeah, that's what's up. I always love the power driver through the Japanese table spot. It always gets me good, just because of the way the table breaks and how they end up folded. It's great. Mako had an all-timer Pele in this one. She didn't even look. She just said, "All right, this bitch is gonna hit something."
Her Pele's in this were crazy. That was one of the big notes
Yeah.
I had was Mako
She just
Mako
threw.
remembered
She's
how much she
Aja.
loves the Pele.
She's like, Aja's around here somewhere. I don't know where, but I'm gonna throw this Pele and it's gonna happen. The Hurricane counter from Mako was super, super sick. At this point, you can see Aja kind of getting desperate with the way she rushed into the Hurricane when she hit it the first time and went to the immediate pin. That's a big contrast from the 99 match. 99, you could not tell Aja shit. Like, she did not give a fuck about Mako. But this one, this is like she finally showed some like desperation. I don't know if she showed it in the 2000 because I haven't seen that one yet. But she showed visible desperation, and that was a nice little wrinkle. I like that aspect of, oh my god, she might win this, so I am just exhausting everything. I don't know what to do. This Mako strikes Aja down the sides with some slaps and a kick to the head. She hit Aja with back-to-back Death Valleys, and I bit on both of them. I love the fake out Hurricane before she just clobbered Mako with the real one. I was like,
Aja was just like was with that stuff. Like in this match specifically, she was just like, "Bitch, you can't do that."
yeah. Oh my god, I love Aja, man. The crowd is unglued. I will give them that. The crowd was tremendous. Aja hit the Death Valley, and I'm like, oh shit. And then Mako finally put her away with the Scorpion Rising to capture the 3AW singles title. With that being said, while I like the 99 one more, this was still really good.
Yeah, I would agree. Beth, how about you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, great match. I don't think I've recently seen their other ones to compare it. Just because I didn't think to watch them, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, this match just so good. Like, crazy to think that there's like not a wrestler alive, man or woman, that does monster quite like Aja Kong does.
Yeah.
Like, even back in the day, like the speed she was moving at was just terrifying. Like, you would not want that running towards you. And then you had Aja like dashing the folding chairs at Meiko, and then Meiko picking up the barrier and throwing it right back at her, like that, incredible. I didn't write too many notes about this one because it was just one of them ones where I just wanted to sit down and enjoy it, and like it's just so good. The ending was incredible. Like I think you can say it for like nearly every match, but the way Meiko is just like the perfect baby face is like I feel like that's not even like describing it that well. Like she's just so good at being a baby face and overcoming the odds that you love to see it in every match and it never gets boring and it's captivating. But yeah, another good match, solid. I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as I thought I was going to, but yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta watch the Double Destiny one now.
I
He's
agree.
gotta.
Yeah, well,
I think that's the thing. Like, I think Mako in that 99 match, and again, apologize for keep bringing it up, but I think Mako in that 99 match really showcased like that was like the peak of her like underdog baby face before she started being too strong. Like
mm,
that match was like, oh, if Mako wins, like this will be an upset. I think this match, while Mako winning was like an upset functionally, um, it wasn't. You know, I mean, like she this was like a pretty even matchup, and as Davey said, kind of Aja displayed that more so. Like she was a bit more in peril here than she ever really was in the 99 match, and I think that was to the 99 matches benefit was that it's like such a it's a bigger gap between the two, and I think that produced a more like intricately interesting match. And you know, I think there's an argument that diminishing returns and rematches. I mean, uh, I don't want to talk about this too long, but like you look at Starlight Kid and Azumi, it's like they've had some great matches, but it's like at a certain point, it's like when you do a match a lot, it's like so much of it is like
Rehash.
you have to rehash to some degree, even if it's still great like this one. As for this one, I did really love it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was longer, and you kind of feel it. I thought the early going was a bit
Mm-hmm.
slower than I would have liked. Um,
When they went to the crowd, I was like, fuck, here we go.
Yeah, but I think that's when it really started, like kind of
Yeah.
getting a bit more. You know, that's where we're getting to. One spot that I loved, that I just like I couldn't stop thinking about after watching it was the axe kick from the apron that
Yeah.
Mako hit, and
mm.
then she gets down and hits a Death Valley bomb. I talk about a little bit. I'll talk about later in the Kagetsu match with Kagetsu, but this is something that he was taught by Mako is like Mako, the way that Mako chains together moves sometimes, like just with like a very like frantic energy, is something that is so tremendous and it works so well. And she taught it to a lot of the Sendai girls wrestlers. Because I think Dash kind of has that too, where like when like Dash knows and Mako knows and Kagetsu knew exactly when you have to like follow up immediately. You know, like sometimes you want to let things breathe, but sometimes you need to like hammer it in. And with like that combo, the apron axe kick to the Death Valley on the floor, that was just like bam, 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 you know, like really going at it in a perfect sequence that I really appreciated. Um, yeah, I mean, I love some of the smaller bits here. Like I said, Mako just spamming Pele kicks, and at some point, Aja just stops like letting her. Like she's like, you could. She's like, go ahead, try. I'm just gonna swat you down because you keep doing it. Get good. I like she patched that technique like halfway through the match. And I thought that was a lot of fun. And I just love when matches have 5+ Death Valley bombs. I think they're cool. I think it's so cool that we just spam that move. I it's one of my guilty pleasures. I'm not usually a finisher spam guy, but with a Death Valley bomb, I love it when Mako's in there hitting 10 Death Valley bombs and then wins with one Scorpion Rising. That's like such a funny trope that she did a few times. Like you wouldn't think you would do that more than once, but she's done it a few times and I love it. Um, but yeah, I think this one, uh, step below the Double Destiny one and a step below Mako versus Hokuto, but still a great match. You know, I still think it was a very, a very good match. And I loved that we got to see Mako win the big one, right? Like this is like 7 years in the making, really, because Mako was always kind of looked at as the star pupil in GAEA, to some degree at least. And so, her finally making it to the top might take 7 years, taken 7 years, but when you got there, it was really cool. And it's cool that she got to do in the main event, you know, because the Crush Gals were always kind of in the main event over the 3AW sometimes. So finally, giving her such a firm close the show victory was really cool to see. Moving on, we go 10 years into the future with this very bad screenshot to the Triple Tails produced in Osaka. It is Meiko Satomura versus KANA on February 13th, 2011. First off, I just want to say the difference in style that Meiko uses between 2001 and 2011. It's 10 years. I get it, obvious, but such a catastrophic change. Just the way that she just moves and walks and does literally everything is just a bit different. It's a bit more meticulous, a bit more like
well, it's different because of the times changing, because she's no longer the underdog. Like, she is the opposition for everybody in the scene, really.
Exactly. Like, I think you go from her becoming the top dog or one of the top dogs in GAEA to her being the top dog in Joshi wrestling by 2011. Outside of maybe Nanai,
like I think wrestling's Yokozuna, man.
Yeah, like I don't know, like there weren't many people, because like even we talked about Nakajima last year. Nakajima in 2011 wasn't like she was retired in 2011 actually, I think. I'm blanking, but I think Meiko was really, like you said, she became the Yokozuna by now, so you kind of see that difference in this kind of match. I'll start here because I actually think I am the low guy in this match. I was expecting a little bit more here. I really liked it. It was very gritty, and it's a type of match that I appreciate, which is a bit more grounded, a little bit more, not realistic, because that's a dumb way to kind of look at wrestling, but a bit more, just like I said, grounded, a bit more smart and intricate. But I do think,
don't use realistic. Saying realistic is how we get people like 3 years ago saying they want to see Zack Sabre Jr. in a UWF match, and I bully them. And
I think that would be funny. I think that'd be funny. I'm not gonna lie. I think Zack in a UWF match would be very funny. But I digress. I appreciate this match, and I liked the style that they ran. But historically I am a low guy on KANA as well, and I think that might be part of it more so than me being low on
You've
Meiko.
been around Alex too long that y'all just intertwined.
On our KANA opinions, I think we do kind of see eye to eye on that. But I thought this match was really, really, really good, but I wasn't as crazy about it. I thought that some things I really did like were just like them just kicking the fuck out of each other. Like that was kind of what I got from it. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I fuck with this. Because at certain points, Kano was just like it sounded like she shot her. You know what I mean? Like she was just fucking like obliterating her. And I also appreciate the finish. Like it was a really like shocking finish. I frankly was not expecting Kano to just win. I was like, holy shit, she just did it. Like that's awesome. But yeah, I thought it was a very good match, but I was a bit of a low guy, so I want to leave it to Beth and XAVI. Beth, obviously you said this was one of your favorite matches ever, so I'm gonna let you talk about why it's one of your favorite matches ever.
Yeah, like I remember when I first watched this, it was when kind of first signed to WWE, and I was like, I don't know who she is, so I'm gonna like have a little Google to see what she's about. And this is like uploaded on her YouTube channel, so I was like, you know what, I'll give this a watch. And I was like, damn, this is the greatest match I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, I still think that, honestly. I can agree with you, because my favorite type of wrestling is more like striking, technical, grappling sort of wrestling, the British style, if you will. And I think this is like the best example of it being used in like professional wrestling, because they're making it look like a fight while still having that kind of like pageantry vibe about it that pro wrestling has. And it's just such a good match. Like the way they're laying into each other with the strikes, like the grappling at the start, and like you said as well, like it's a very different Meiko to like the ones with like Aja and Akira. But like you can, it's cool because you can see like this difference between them, and like how she still has those little glimpses of what she was like before, and how she can like implement that into the matches now. But I think this is just like the precedent of like what the Joshi formula is today, and I feel like this is kind of like what kickstarted more of what we're seeing like Joshi now than what we did like 10-15 years ago, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see that. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just such a good match. I absolutely love it, and I would watch it over and over again if I had the time.
That's fair. I definitely I could see what you mean by like this kind of being a what's the word? Being like it feels like it inspired the next like the
I have a note
Yokozunas.
about that, so we're locked in, Beth. Good shit, man.
Hell yeah.
Well,
I have good
Xavier,
ideas sometimes.
Xavier, I'll let you take it over then. Go ahead.
First and foremost, love this match a lot. There's a lot of revisionist history because of her Fed run, but man, it sucks. Kana was just a negative needle mover in Japan because she was awesome. um, this match is like about what you expect for him, although at this rate, obviously not talking about Meiko like in 2001, but a lot of mat stuff, some heavy kicks, and a true fight aspect to it. Kana does what I can only describe as a shoot scorpion death drop because she just puts in a deep dragon sleeper, and instead of like snapping with it, she just leaps in the air and forces Meiko down. It looked awesome. I was like, hell yeah. um, I loved her spinning back fist in this one because man, it looked like she laid that one in. The Pele came back for it though, so it's all good. Meiko got to get back. So at the end of the match, Kana had Meiko's number a little bit. Anything she wanted to do, she was ready for it. Kana got the win. It was a really good match. I think if you know Kana from just WWE and like pictures on the internet, which be wary of some pictures on the internet. She had this one gimmick, and we're just not going to talk about it. If you're a modern day Stardom fan and you like Shuri even a little bit, I think you should check out some of Kana's old stuff. Shuri's obviously a better all arounder, but you kind of get the same feel. I thought Kana was a great little dance partner for Meiko here. I thought it was pretty sick.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like I said, while I was lower on this match, I did still really appreciate what it was because I think Kana brings something out of Meiko here that
Mm-hmm.
we don't see in any of the other matches.
It's the aggression
Yeah,
because Kana just has that dickhead aspect of her where she wants to try to make it as much of a true fight as possible. And Meiko was like, "Fucker, I will fuck you up. I promise."
yeah, exactly. I feel like there was a sort of like they both have a fuck around and find out type of attitude.
Yeah, yeah,
Kana more so, but
yeah.
Meiko is more like a you know.
She's calm and collected just because she knows she's the best. However, if somebody tempts her enough, she'll bring it
That's
out.
what I mean. I think kind of like that's what I appreciated about this match was like Kana kind of getting Meiko into the zone and Meiko doing the same for Kana in a way. So yeah, I really appreciated it and I liked it a lot stylistically because it does say a lot about what we've gotten to see since. You know, I mean, like you said, I think that like you look at these two wrestlers
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of informed the strike style that we've
Mm-hmm.
seen over the past 10-15 years,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I always find so fascinating because Meiko at her core is a judoka,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a lot of my favorite Meiko stuff is more judo based than it is striking based, but you watch matches like this and you see why she just like was so influential with her striking because it was so just it was all so perfectly timed and it made the match better. It wasn't just like a part of the match. It all kind of contributed to the overall flow of the match was them just kind of chopping at each other with their kicks. I really appreciated it. I keep saying appreciate it. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that they did that. I need new vocab words over here. But next up, there's no match picture spoilers. Sorry.
You want
Next
me to
up,
take over here, man?
yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because you don't know ball like I know ball. But that's all right. So next up, we have the KOD six-man tag team championships. We have the champion team of All Out Konosuke Takeshita, young Take, he was like 23 here. Akito and Yuki Iono defending against the Sendai Girls trio of Meiko Satomura, Chiro Hashimoto, and Dash Chisako. So for people who don't know, All Out was a DDT stable. They actually disbanded, I want to say, during the pandemic. Like I think 2020 or 2021 was where they had their final show. But the core, they had a revolving door of like foreign members, like Diego and I think Royce Chambers from Australia. But the core members of All Out were Konosuke Takeshita, who was the young ace of DDT, Akito, Yuki Ino, and Shunma Katsumata. And basically, they had a brief rivalry with the Sendai Girls around this time in 2019. Obviously, Meiko, I want to say she had already held the KOD Openweight Championship by this time. Still the only woman ever to hold the belt. And I want to say this was definitely the first women's trios team to do it because Saki Akai came out after and was all pissed about it. But they just basically all the All Out and Sendai Girl stuff, I think, is legit some of DDT's best stuff. Just because I got a note about it, so I won't get too into it, but they really hammered home. They had actually after this, and actually, funny enough, it's like a couple days from now, like a couple years ago, because it was on the 24th of this month. They did a Sendai Girls versus DDT or All Out show, and like the card's like crazy because they have another title match in the main event, but throughout the card, there's Akito versus Sakura Hirota. There's a hardcore match with Dash and Shinma, a singles with Ino and Hosh, and then a draw with Meiko and Takeshita. Like it was just a really, really fun feud. But I'll go ahead and get into my notes here before I'll pass it off to both of you. This is legit one of the best DDT matches ever for me, just because I think it is something only DDT can produce. When they went away from their identity a little bit and had that horrible year last year, one of the reasons I was so upset is because, like I said, DDT is the only company that can produce something this electric. Like there's plenty of companies that don't have a problem with intergender wrestling, especially in Japan. It's kind of like pretty normal, unless you're Bushiroad. But DDT is like the only company that could give it such a big fight feel like this one, where everyone was on equal. It was a legit fight. The atmosphere was incredible. They are like the only company capable of producing something like this, and it just hurts me that they don't do it as much anymore. I don't know why. Probably because Akai retired and all that, but like they should really get back to this because, like I said, they're the only company that can do this. The main pairings for this match were Hosh and Ino, Akito and Dash, and then Take and Meiko, of course. Even with the best pairing being Hosh and Ino, in my opinion, I think this was one of those trios matches where legit everyone left an impact on the match. Yeah. Everybody got equal chances to shine. Take got put in hell here. Dash drop kicked him square in the face, and then Meiko frog splashed him, and then Hosh senton him, and then Dash foot stomped him after that. He got sent to super hell. This also is one of my favorite finishes ever. Hosh is like trying to get Ino ready for the Albright, but he's still like trying to fight it off. And then while she has the grip on the Albright, Meiko just runs in, hits Scorpion Rising, and KOs him enough to where Hosh can finally hit the Albright for the win and to win the belts, and the crowd just goes crazy. I absolutely love this match. I feel like this is like necessary booking, especially if you know of DDT and you only know them as like, whether it be a comedy promotion or just, the promotion that promotes specifically to the female demographic. I think this is one of those matches that doesn't get brought up whenever people talk about DDT, mostly because people are too busy trying to suggest you like 6 Golden Lovers matches. I think this is a match you should go back and see because I loved every bit of it. Beth, what'd you think of this? Because obviously you didn't see this as well, so.
I was like really surprised how much I liked it. I thought this was great. I really like, obviously Meiko is the whole point of the show, but I really loved Hash and Ino. Yeah. And I'm actually gonna go back and watch their singles matches because watching that I was like, damn, like I don't know if they've had a singles match, but I want to watch it. And then you said, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back and watch it.
Ino was only like 2 years in here.
That's
I
crazy.
think it was less than 2 years in.
He wasn't even sexy yet.
Yeah. He was just big dude.
To you guys. But yeah, like there's such a good match. Like this is like the Takeshita that I like. Not like massive on him in AEW at the minute, but like he was such a prodigy like back in the day, like it's crazy. Also, while I was watching this, my laptop kept freezing like every time Eno and Hash would like shoulder tackle each other, and it was just like the world was stopping because it was just two meaty people bumping meat.
Yeah.
But like my main takeaway from this was like how good Meiko is as a trainer, because like regardless of gender, like the girls were hanging with the guys. I mean, like you say, there's in Japan it's still very like separated apart from like DDT and like a few other places, but like it just shows how talented they are, and they can just go against anybody and they'll hang with the best of them, if you will. And I think Maker is like on something, getting these girls working in the rice field, because the way they were just picking up the guys like it was nothing, insane to me. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I actually came away like probably one of my favorite matches that I watched, like
Same.
from the ones that we picked. So
yeah, I totally agree. I think, like I said, like I expect this to be the weakest, but not by a lot. Because I do remember everything I would see from the feud. I liked. I'd never seen this match in full, but I watched. Did they have a 5-on-5 at some point?
They probably did.
Like, yeah, I think it was just a bigger match, or maybe a 4-on-4. I don't remember who else was on each. I think it
It was
doesn't matter.
probably Awada and Shenma on each side.
Yeah,
Awada
So
might have been hurt when they did the produce show that's on Wrestle Universe, because she's on the poster, but Hiroto stepped in, so she might have been hurt at that time. But.
Yeah, so like I did see some of the feud, and I have seen this is including Cassandra rather than Ash, I believe, but I've seen their King of Trios run from one of the years, and I adore Sendai girls in intergender situations. Like I just think that they demand a respect, and they are given a respect that kind of does away with a lot of like why someone might not, someone that is smart and good faith, why someone might not like intergender wrestling, um, because they do kind of demand a certain level of like of respect that not everybody would get. Like you look at all three of these pairings, right? Like Mako was beating the fuck out of everybody on the other team. Dash was beating the fuck out of everybody on the other team. Like they all, like, it wasn't like it wasn't like like All Out were stooging for them and just kind of like looking like idiots. Like,
oh my god, I'm sorry, I was trying to look for the 5-on-5, and I saw that Dash and Mako went 25 with Chris Brooks and Kyle Fletcher in the UK in 2019. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Carl Fletcher was like 7. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love how impactful Sendai girls can be against the dudes, and how I mean they won here. Like I think so much of what I dislike about intergender wrestling is when it just kind of feels like it, like, oh well, inherently the women are losing. It's like, why does it have to be like that? It doesn't. Look at this match. Look at me and Xavier always talk about this. Look at that fucking T-Hawk tag where he was just in a Sendai Girls tag last year, and like he just fucking ruled. Like he was great because he was letting them beat the fuck out of him, and he was fighting back as hard as he would against anybody. Like that's what I love about intergender wrestling, is when it just feels like it's just wrestling, and that's kind of like that's part of what made this match so great. The other part was that everybody is fucking awesome in this match. Takeshita, in this era where he wasn't yet like the thick boy ace, he was still kind of twinkish, but he wasn't young Takeshita that got beat half to death by Tanahashi. I mean, like this kind of like middle period for Takeshita was always, everything I've seen from it is so good. Maybe not as good as like right now Takeshita in his prime, but it was so good because he was just always just had this underlying feeling of like he was better than everybody else in the match, even when he wasn't. He just kind of like had a certain like blue chipper type of vibe where he was really about to cook, and I thought that he did great here. Dash, as I said earlier, is just so like stylistically is just like one of the coolest wrestlers ever. You know what I mean? Like
For sure.
I'm absolutely obsessed with everything she does because it always is just so swift and nasty and just like it just all clicks. It tickles that part of my brain, that like just like is fascinated and just like captivated by wrestling. Dash just hits on all of those measures and all of those points. And yeah, I mean Eno was bumping his ass off, which I appreciate. I think the only person that like I felt like I didn't see enough from is Akito, because I really do like Akito, but I felt like in this match he wasn't he was kind of the third man on his team.
Mhm.
Um
Because he was paired off with Dash, and Dash
was just
she
beating the
wasn't
fuck
really
out of him.
she wasn't really an important part other than like to get beat up on by the All Out team.
Yeah, that but yeah, and then like I said, Eno was just bumping his ass off for Hosh, which I thought was awesome. Haven't talked much about Meiko in this match, but she was also tremendous. She always was
Like I
tremendous in
said, her
intergender
and
matches.
Takeshita were doing good stuff.
Yeah, 100%. But I just thought overall this match was great. I loved it. And yeah, I mean, like I said, if you've never seen Sendai Girls in like intergender matches, or if you don't like intergender matches, watch some of these matches. Not necessarily the 25-minute Chris Brooks and Kyle Fletcher one, but
No,
watch some of these
that's not
matches.
on Wrestle Universe. I'm not
Yeah,
promoting that.
yeah, watch these all out matches. Watch some of their King of Trios matches. Not all of them, but some of them were very good.
I was gonna say some of them probably got some sus individuals in it, so probably not.
Well, I mean, if you watch the entire show of any Chikara show ever, it's you're gonna have a bad time. But that's why we haven't done a Chikara show, because some there are some matches from Chikara I absolutely adore, but we would never do a full Chikara show, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, like there are so many instances. I mean, to this day, like I said, I mean, it's you, so it wasn't fully Sendai Girls, but like Hashimoto and you against Suzuki and Akiyama, was it?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah, like a year or two ago. Fortune Dream, super good stuff, because Sendai Girls demands respect in their gender matches, and they always rule. Like Sendai Girls intergender matches are just awesome. I love them. I think they're great. And Meiko is one of the best at chopping down anybody, dissecting anybody. Talk about that in the next match. She just dismantles her opponents regardless of if they're a dude or if they're a woman or how much they weigh or anything. And that's kind of what you get.
You
from
are
this
walking
match.
the line, my friend. You need to. Let's bring
Yeah,
it.
that's okay. You get my point. Oh yeah, I'm hosting. Next up, it is Kagetsu's retirement match. He faced Meiko Satomura on.
Dog, it's like he shot this promo picture right before the match started.
Yeah, he was locked in. Look at him. But this was on, what was it, February 24th,
Yeah, this was
2020.
actually right before the world shut down.
Legitimately like
right
2
before.
days. I think
Yeah,
it was
day
like
after my
2 days.
day after my birthday, that was.
Oh, best birthday caused the pandemic. That's crazy. I'm
Hell
just
yeah.
kidding. It was funny because like the show happened, and then 2 days later, nothing.
Yeah. I mean, the world really did end when Kagetsu hung him up. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was Kagetsu's retirement match.
Asterix.
Yeah, he did wrestle a year later, but mostly his retirement match. And also he wrestled earlier in the night. I didn't watch that match, but I did watch the last Oedo Tai dance just
It
because I
was the
had to.
Ida one, right?
Yeah, the Ida match. It was
Yeah.
He was X against Ida, and Ida started crying. And I watched the dance. Hizuki was there, even though she had just retired. So I wanted to watch that entrance at least earlier today when I watched this. Beth, I'll start with you since XAVI got to start last time around. How do you feel about this match? Revisiting it. Obviously, by this point, I believe all three of us were watching this stuff pretty.
Yep.
Like as it happened, more or less. So how did you feel kind of revisiting this and shoot your shit?
I think this is like the first time that I've rewatched it since it happened. And it's crazy watching it because like I'll say this about Meiko's retirement match as well, but it's like Kagetsu isn't wrestling like he's retiring. Like, obviously, his neck
Yeah.
is a slinky and is
Dog,
broken
the
down.
finish was so messed up because
Yeah.
if you have the knowledge, his neck is terrible.
Bro, actually, that was one thing I noticed before the match started. I was like, he's not wearing tape.
Yeah, he was ready
Why
to
isn't he
die.
wearing tape? He should
He
be
was
wearing
ready
tape.
to win this. He was ready.
But yeah, like, I think it's nice to watch a retirement and the person can still wrestle to a high quality.
Hmm.
Because, like, even though it's obviously not the Kagetsu that we all know and love, but it's still to that high standard, I think, and
Mhm.
that's what I enjoyed about it. Like, it was you can see the influence of like Meiko's training in his ring work. I get my words out. But yeah, like, again, this is one of like my all time favorites. And I enjoyed it just as much as I did the first time around that I watched it. Like, this is, you've got somebody who's a generational babyface versus like a generational heel, and
Mhm.
it's crazy that Meiko is like the best babyface of all time, but she taught somebody who ended up being like one of the greatest heels of all time, and I love that about her training method. But yeah, like, it just went crazy. Obviously, the ending was a bit all over the place, but it had that Kagetsu essence, and that's what I liked about it.
Xavier?
I absolutely love this match. Obviously, like I said, we talked about the world shutting down, but I'll never forget actually getting this show like the day or the day before the world actually did shut down. Or
Yep.
no, it was on delay because it was on Samurai. So it was like the world had already shut down and somebody put it on a drive, legally, by the way. And I'll never forget watching this. I was like, man, I am going to miss Kagetsu so much. I do want to say, funny thing is, like, we obviously set the asterisk parts. He does wrestle a year later at the first KANA show, and it was funny when he wrote in his blog. He was like, "Yeah, I asked Meiko like if she was okay with me doing this, and she was essentially like, I do not care. Go. I am in the UK.
She's
You
like,
do
I
whatever.
beat you. Like, I don't.
Yeah, like I don't know what you asking me for. Like, if you want to do it, go do it." But yeah, man, I love this match a lot. It's funny because Kagetsu, he tried. I don't want to say he necessarily tried to heal it up. He more so tried to prove to Meiko that he was on her level to a degree, and he was more of a dickhead than he was like a straight on heel. He's kind of had a point to prove that they were equals in this moment in time, and I thought their styles, obviously, of course, Meiko being his trainer, obviously clashed very, very well. I do like the erraticness of the Kagetsu ending stretches a lot. It's not just this match. A lot of his singles matches ended up that way. Just the chaoticness, because the flip usually just switch and he spams all his finishing moves like 3 times. It's so sick. I absolutely, at first, what's funny? When I was watching him actively, I absolutely hated when he fucking did this. But when he retired and I was watching a lot of his stuff, back, I absolutely love the fact that he would Oepsu drop, do the Oedo coaster, and then not even pick him up and do the Death Valley bomb. I was like, that it's so extra, and I love it so much. It's awesome. But yeah, this match kicked lots of ass, man. Your favorite Joshi wrestler you owe to one of these two, probably. There's a high chance that you owe to one of these two.
I know, you look around the ring and it's like it's a who's who
Yeah.
for Stardom fans and Marigold fans. Like,
Yeah.
Tommy was out there,
Kid was
Ida
there,
and Kid were out there, Hazuki was out there. Yeah, like you said, Zumi was out there. Natsu, who doesn't really work anymore, but she was also out there.
She kind of works. She has a bar.
Well, she worked. She
got a
does.
job.
Yeah, she's got a job. Like,
Yeah, she's
in Wave, I think, maybe. I think she's in Catch the Baby. I don't know.
Didn't she fight like Mio Shirai for some reason?
Yeah. I'm sure that was a classic.
Mio Shirai 2020.
No, but it was funny. The funny thing about all the people that we mentioned is Kagetsu had already had like 2 final Stardom shows. And like I'm pretty sure Stardom had a show either that day or like the day before. And like all the roster still showed up. Like even people like, at least Azumi was booked like Kid wasn't booked. I don't remember.
Utami wasn't booked and Kid weren't.
Tommy wasn't booked, and they were just all there, and
Yep.
like seconding. It was kind of wholesome. But I love this. Like I said, I love this match a lot. Obviously, with the knowledge that Kagetsu's neck is just all types of train wreck, the Scorpion Rising just was disgusting because not only did it bonk him on top of his head, the way his neck crunched, I was like, dog, come on, man. You gotta do all that. But yeah, man, it was a great match to go out on. I will say that's one of the bright sides of wrestlers retiring at a high level still is they get to go out in like pristine fashion. Even like when we were talking about Meiko's, she went out while she was still like in peak condition. Even with Nanai, who wasn't in peak condition, she still went out with a great one. Like that's one of the beautiful things about just great wrestlers going out on top, whether it be via a win or just having a great match to call it a career. It's just something really special. It gives you something to remember them that they just had one last gift to give to pro wrestling before they called it quits. And I mean, it's crazy. We're talking about Meiko, who just retired, and she was a part of this retirement match, like essentially 5 years ago. So.
I know it's such an interesting kind of thing because I don't know, it's so fascinating when like a senior out wrestles you, like not out wrestles you, but like outlives your career.
Yeah.
You see that with Aja and Meiko. You know what I mean? That's, and we'll talk about that in a minute. That's like kind of an interesting you know, just like I don't know, it's just very fascinating, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. With Meiko and Kagetsu, this match for a long time was like the match I would put on if I needed a good cry. Like just because it made me tear up a little bit watching it because I felt like I was a kid again watching it. A kid again, I say 5 years ago, you know, I was 16, 17, doesn't matter. So a kid, but you know, it really does kind of transport me to that place where, you know, I'm just really like, I'm watching it still, and I watched it, I was just like, man, Kagetsu, just win, man. You could do this. You know, like you just gotta have like that underlying feel of just like, come on, fight back. Which is something I always have to say about all my favorite wrestlers. It seems, is begging for them to fight back, and even 5 years, 5 years later, I still had that feeling, that urge to say that near the end of this match. I thought it was great. I absolutely love this match still. Wow. You know, I think I can recognize more of its flaws now than I could a couple years ago. Like I thought the opening was a bit underwhelming compared to what I remember. I think when I first watched this, I didn't really care about how matches opened. I mean, a year prior, I was obsessed with Okada and Omega, and we know how those matches started. So it's like I think I just didn't really have much care at that time. But I think watching it now, I was just a bit more like, yeah, the opening could have been a bit better. It was a bit underwhelming, but as it started picking up, I really did just love getting to see Meiko and Kagetsu interact in ring for the first time in years at this point. I think they might have had a tag in 2018 against each other. They didn't. No, they Team Moon went to Sendai Girls, and Kagetsu just kind of did a face off with Meiko. So they didn't, like, this was the first time they had a match against each other in years. So it was really cool to just see them kind of interact with each other, and Meiko kind of brush off some of Kagetsu's cool stuff. One of those spots I really liked was the water fountain, where Kagetsu like spit water in Meiko's face, and Meiko just eats it and just slaps the shit out of him. Like, just the fuck are you doing? Like, there was just a certain, I think, apathy as a character in wrestling is it's like a, you know, it's super useful in key points, but it could be overused. But Meiko was used like an apathetic kind of vibe to her in perfect moments, because a similar thing happened when Kagetsu hit the first Death Valley bomb, and Meiko just got up and was just mad. Like, she wasn't even like, it's like she didn't, it didn't hurt. She wasn't like, you know, like, she was just like, what the fuck was that? How dare you? You know, and like, I thought that was like, that was when it kind of felt like the match was shifting into like a really high end place. And I also liked that the finish, even though it was a bit of a mess, and even like when I first watched it, I was like, that was the finish? I could have swore there was more to that. I did kind of appreciate more now than I did when I first saw it, that Mako hit a Death Valley bomb and Kagetsu still kicked out. So Meiko kind of accepted that move, which he stole from her, was like even between the two of them and hit the Scorpion Rising. Like I appreciated that kind of little nod. You know, it was Meiko's way of putting him over in the end was that it's like, okay, this move we're 50-50 on. Still lose the Scorpion Rising though. Like I appreciated that little nod to Ishino because he didn't get much. He got beat the fuck out of in this match for a lot of it. So I appreciated what Meiko kind of gave to him, and Meiko looked great here. But yeah, I mean, Kagetsu is one of my favorite ever. So it was just lovely to kind of revisit this match for the first time in a minute. Because it still moves me, deeply in my heart of hearts. So yeah, really like that match. Any closing remarks on that match before we move on to the retirement matches? Anybody?
No.
Okay. I don't have a picture for the exhibition match, but in Meiko Satomura's proper retirement match, it took place in Korakuen Hall on April 29, 2025. It was Meiko Satomura and Manami facing off against Chiro Hashimoto and Aja Kong. This happened a couple months ago, or not? Yeah, no, like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I have notes from that day, but I will be asking Xavier to kind of carry the load here because those notes were basically like unreadable because I was just like so locked into the match that I just like half the shit does not make sense. So Xavier, take it away.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I don't really have anything to say about the gauntlet. Like it was nice. It was cool, but it wasn't as impactful as this match right here. Obviously, biggest the fight feels. It was just one of those matches where instantly everybody was locked in, and you could feel it. Like Aja was the most motivated she's been in a long time. Hosh is obviously always motivated when Meiko's involved in most cases, really. And Manami got a big spot, and obviously she wasn't going to fail in it. I love this match so much. It's one of my favorite matches of the year so far because just Aja and Meiko getting to duel one last time, and also for the fact that this match and how it was laid out was so beautiful because several points during this match, Hosh could have beat Meiko. She did it already for the belt. She had her beat multiple times, but she just couldn't bring herself to be the one to put the nail in the coffin. And she was breaking down during it, and Asha just amended the attack because she sensed that Hosh couldn't do it. She just couldn't bring herself to do it. So Asha was like, "I'll do it," like no questions asked. So she gets the tag. She goes in and she tries, and like I was so certain that Aja was winning when we were watching live, obviously, but in just true Meiko Satomura fashion, she's able to come back and put Aja away with the Scorpion Rising, just like the first time she beat her for the 3AW, to beat her in her retirement match. And that's truly, watching it, we were just like, it was the most Meiko Satomura thing because she is the ultimate hero, the ultimate underdog, if you will. And there's like not a better way to close this chapter of the Aja versus Meiko feud because it's not truly closed because of something I'll mention here in a second. But this chapter with Meiko overcoming Aja again and the last chance to do so, it was really, really beautiful. Like I said, I just love the fact that how they laid this out where Hosh she had this match in the bag and she just couldn't bring herself to do it. And Aja had to be the one to try to make it happen. But Meiko had everything to fight back and get the win. And afterwards, they do the tag, they team up once and they do the big gauntlet. But Aja basically going on and saying like, "Hey, like you're the one who made me who I am," which is hilarious because Aja's career started way before Meiko's, and they only became like rivals in like '99 and 2000. But she was like, "You made me who I am." It's like this isn't the end. Like you're going to continue to put new pro wrestlers out into the world via Sendai Girls, and I'm going to be there to fight all of them. So our story is just going to keep continuing with everybody that you train. And I thought that was just lovely. I thought that was just a chef's kiss nod. And obviously, all the Sendai Girls just in absolute tears. Hosh especially, she wants to make Meiko's dream of taking them to the Budokan of reality. It's such a good last stand for Meiko. it makes you feel every sort of emotion you hope to feel. It was tremendous, especially with the ceremony, and it's just something that really hits you in the feels, and you're like, God, this is legit one of the best ever. But with that being said, would you think of the match itself and everything out of it, Beth?
Um, for me, like again, not the work of someone who's retiring. Even more so for Meiko. Like with Kagetsu, you could tell like his body was broken down and everything, but with Meiko, it was just she was still at the top of her game, and like it didn't look like she was going to be slowing down at any point. And I think that's why people were kind of surprised that her retirement was even announced, because she seemed like one of those wrestlers who kind of like Aja Kong, you just kind of expect to be around for the end of time. But the match itself, like I loved it. The story in the ring and like the overall like overarching theme was incredible. Like you had women from different eras of Joshi who were all tied to Meiko in one way or another, and they were just going all out just to make it like this special moment for it, and it worked. I think Aja and Meiko is probably like one of the greatest feuds in Joshi history, in my opinion. Like, um, the ending stretch being a callback to their match in 2001 was incredible. Like, I didn't even realize it, and when I was watching it, I was like, "Hang on, that's the same spot that they did in the 2001 match," and I was like, "Damn, that's pretty smart." I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I really like that part of the match, and then I think like Mako and Hash going at it as well, like incredible. In you kind of had the same sense as you did with the Sendai Girls title match that they had, of like Hash really did not want to beat Mako at any point, but she had to for the title. But I could appreciate that she didn't want to be the one to retire her, and I think that was like the best thing for Mako was to go out on top like she always has, and then obviously you had Minami as well. Like she was great in there, showed a lot of confidence in her, and I think it shows that like Mako is very confident in the future of the company as well. Having her be a part of that match, which was I think a nice nod as well, and you had that little nod to everybody in the gauntlet. Like I don't have any notes about the gauntlet, but I think it was just like kind of a nice acknowledgement to everybody that she's helped through Sendai.
Yeah, I agree. This match was it was so much fun, and near the end, it did feel like everybody was either going through it physically or going through it emotionally. That it kind of like it in a funny way just was like they were trying to like find their footing, and I appreciated that kind of like realism, like that actual realism of like, well, Mako looks like she got fucking concussed. Manami has been killed 7 times over. Aja is up there in age, so and she tried way harder. She put more effort in this match than like any match since the dash match probably. Um, so like they were all just kind of going fucking through it, and Chihiro is over there crying her eyes out. So it's like it was like by the end it was just like it kind of broke down, but in like the most satisfying way that a retirement match could, because it still had a very satisfying finish with the beautiful fucking, you know what I'm talking about. She and I don't know. I just thought this match was a lot of fun. Uh, it was very funny that Mako just won.
Yeah.
Like that was like a that's Mako till the end, man. That's Mako till the fucking end. And she just won, you know, forehead. Come on. But yeah, I really appreciated it. One of the nastiest Scorpion Risings in her retirement run here. She
Hmm.
just fucking clobbered, like, dude, it was nasty as hell. Um, but yeah, I really appreciated this, and I liked seeing some of those like classic combos with Mako and Aja. I know I remember Aja hitting a elbow drop and Mako just grabbing her into an armbar. It's like that's what it's all like. There was just like those bread and butter stuff that we kind of talked about earlier. That Meiko and Aja had such a they had such a natural uh opposing natural stylistic opposition to each other that sometimes it felt like they couldn't veer away from like what they did best, you know what I mean? And I think in some ways that's a good thing, in some ways that's a bad thing. A lot of the times it's a good thing, and I think this match kind of having some of those things that if you have watched their matches against each other, you kind of like have a greater appreciation for it, like Beth kind of alluded to. Like that finish was very much out of the textbook, the Meiko Aja textbook that we have seen in the past. As for the exhibition match thing, I do have a couple things that I did like that I wanted to bring up. Um, First of all, it felt like an obvious kind of callback to Nagayo and Dump
Yeah,
teaming
for
together
sure.
for Dump's last match, and like just down to like the spacing of it, you know what I mean? Like the way that like Aja kind of like went to protect Meiko, and just like the vibe that kind of brought, I thought that was really nice and really a beautiful moment, especially when you think about it, it's like while Aja wasn't like a direct disciple of Dump in that sense, she kind of came in right as Dump was leaving. Uh, she obviously kind of filled the Dump role moving past Dump's retirement, and Meiko obviously inherited the red. She was part of the red bloodline in Joshi wrestling, not that bloodline, the other one. And
I'm gonna tell everybody you called Meiko Sakawa.
she's taken it all. Um, but yeah, so I kind of liked the way that they kind of positioned it to be like this is historically significant. It's a historical callback to two people that kind of influenced the styles that Aja and Meiko have been wrestling for fucking decades now. And also shout out Senka. House of Fire immediately just came in like a fucking psycho, and I love the corner rush spot all the time. It's always my favorite part of these like more low key Joshi retirements and matches like that, or nearing the end of a Joshi wrestler's career. I always like that. So I really liked both the match and the exhibition that followed. Manami, I think is the one that I do kind of want to give a nod to, because like I said, she did die in the match. She got fucking obliterated, but I think she kind of proved that she can hang with these legends, even if she is a step below um, the three other wrestlers. It's like she still is such a high caliber wrestler, especially for her age. That you got to respect it, and I really appreciate that they put her in here, and she was able to deliver on a high level. With that being said, I believe that is more or less all we have to say about the matches themselves. The retirement ceremony was beautiful, as it usually is. My picture, if you could see, is of Meiko and Akira Hokuto. Also in the bottom left corner, that is the All Out versus Sendai Girls produce show.
You're
That
damn
picture.
right it is, buddy.
But yeah, so I thought now that we've seen all the matches, Beth, I will start with you. How did you feel about the matches we picked, and what was your favorite? What was your least favorite of the bunch?
I enjoyed all of them. Honestly, I knew I would.
Yeah.
I think favorite after watching them, probably the Sendai All Out match. Um, like obviously, like Meiko and KANA, that's always going to be like one of my top favorites. But I really didn't know what to expect with the Sendai All Out match, and I came out of it like really loving all of everything that they did in the match, and kind of reminded me why I got into DDT in the first place, like ages ago. So there was that. Weakest, probably Meiko and Aja, which it's still a really good match, but I think compared to everything else, to me, probably a little bit weaker, and maybe the match with Kagetsu, but I don't know. I feel like everything's on the same level, so it's kind of hard to pick just one.
That's fair. I kind of feel similar, because I'm just like, for me, Xavier, you can go last. For me, I feel like the top match was Meiko and Akira Hokuto. Because that match, I watched it and I was like, this might be like a perfect 10. I'm still at 9.5 for it, but it's like, it's a pretty goddamn, damn near perfect match. that I just love every time I watch it more and more. So I have a hard time straying from that. As for weakest, like you said, it's kind of hard to pick one out of the pack. I think I would go Meiko and Kana by a smidge below Aja and Meiko, because I don't know. I think that match is connected with me the least, and I I also think that part of it is just like where it was at, if that makes sense. I
Mhm.
like GAEA, just watching matches in GAEA Japan, like GAEA has like a positive multiplier just because I think the fans were so into it. I like the production. I think that like the vibes were just all there. Like GAEA is one of the greatest promotions of all time, top to bottom. And so it's like I think Aja and Meiko, even if it was weaker than the Hokuto and Meiko match that I'd watched right before it, and their previous match in '99 that we watched for one of the old episodes, I still just kind of am like, it's still Aja and Meiko. So I think Meiko and Kana a step below it, but all of them were pretty fucking great if I'm being real. Um, I would agree. I think that the KOD 6 man was such a great match, like just a fun match to watch. Um, that it is what you want from DDT. I felt the same way. Not to dwell on a match that we talked about like 20 minutes ago, but I felt like I watched and I was like, this is what I want from DDT more than anything. Like this is what I want to see from DDT. Like this is such a cool lane to that is still available currently right now. Like they could still do this. Like nobody else is doing it like this. Um, it's such a cool lane to go through. Just like having such a great roster, such a great trio in the Sendai girls, be put on this level next to three of their really maybe not top stars for Akito and Ino at that point, but three very serviceable and high quality wrestlers. I wish DDT still moved like that, because that was such a great match and such a sign of the time for the company, in my opinion. But Xavi, how did you feel? Give me your top and your bottom matches that we watched.
Obviously liked everything. That's one of the things I said watching this is I am just thankful that everything we watched was good. So nothing was a chore to get through for me. As far as best match, I feel like the best match is obviously Akira versus Meiko, just because I mean the multiplier aspect of Guy Japan, but also how the match was built up, the work, just everything about it was great. It's
Mm.
very different from peak Hokuto matches and very different from peak Meiko matches. Yet it's an incredible match. It's awesome. Um, I almost still stubbornly just put the all out one just because I love it so much. But as far as like for the theme of it being a Mako show, uh, obviously probably your best
Mhm.
performance of all the matches we watched. For weakest match, I will go Kana versus Mako just for the atmosphere aspect. I do think I like the work itself more than Kagetsu versus Mako. However, the atmosphere for that one was a lot better, especially with the erratic Kagetsu like last minute try to come back. Um, the crowd wasn't terrible for Kana and Mako, but they were quite dead at many points. So uh, I would say that was the weakest one just based on the atmosphere.
All right, I think that more or less ends the show. Um, yeah, we will be back soon with a Nanai Takahashi episode since she just retired as well. Um, and yeah, I thank you all for listening. Beth, want to give your plugs and whatnot.
Uh,
Your
yeah,
Twitter is at the bottom. I put it there. If you're looking at the screen, it's right there.
yeah.
But
So my Twitter is already corpse. It's the same on Blue Sky. I've got a piece about Nane coming out probably like next week. Depends. I'm like halfway through it. I forget how long her career has been, and it's been a pain trying to find matches to write about because like half of her career is undocumented. But yeah, follow me on the social medias, and sometimes I like write other things as well. So
and Xavier.
As for me, just follow me on Twitter at what you see right there on the screen. Uh, Probably will record something soonish once we figure out what's going on over the next week. Also, me and Dylan already told y'all the Lanai episode's the next episode, and we got something else we're gonna do. So hopefully that comes up soon. As far as me writing, I was gonna write something on Yappy. I still might do that. However, I might just wait and do nothing until N1, but that's months away. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and as for me, check me out at writedylanwrite.substack.com. I haven't written anything in a couple months, but there is stuff, and I will be writing something soon, hopefully, maybe, probably not, but we'll see. Check me out every single week on Stardom Quest Gold, best weekly Marigold and Stardom podcast in the world.
Don't be talking Stardom Award. That's all.
I'll be talking about Stardom sometimes. I talked with Scott off air last night more about Stardom than I have talked about Stardom on Stardom Quest in the past like 3 weeks altogether. But I digress. Check me out on Twitter at XXIchiban because I'm number 21 on the field and number 1 on your heart. Yeah. I remember. There was something I had to tell you guys to do. You gotta tell your dad, tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your cousin, tell your auntie, tell Akira Hokuto, tell her son and her grandchild, who is the daughter of Rin Katakura. Tell everybody you fucking know that the No Limit Wrestling Show is the most bizarre, the most strange, but the best wrestling kind of podcast. Not really. It's not. It's kind of a podcast, but it's more of a show. Best show in the biz. Arrivederci. Matane.